hear you? There we go. It's great to see you all out on a Saturday morning. You made a real effort, right? So this is fantastic news. So we haven't got long, half an hour, so we need to dive straight in, okay? So as you can see, we are talking all about different perspectives, helping our learners develop a critical eye. Now, as with all good lessons, and I'm just going to warn you first actually, you're my students, okay? This means, guess what? There's going to be lots of interaction, okay? Pair work, group work, speaking. Are you up for that?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so as with all good lessons, we're going to start with a little warm-up. Because of course we're talking about critical thinking, but let's first of all define what exactly we mean by critical thinking. So, with the person next to you, I want you to complete this sentence. Critical thinking is ... You've got 1 minute, turn to the person next to you, write a short definition for me. You ready? Steady? Go. When you go to Google and you type in critical thinking, can you guess how many definitions come up? 22 million. That's a lot of definitions, and you've just created a few more for me, right? Does anyone want to share their ideas, their thoughts? Anyone feeling brave?
Yeah, we have lots.
Yeah.
Well, for me, critical thinking is the ability to think out of the box, like to see original things about the simple stuff which is surrounding us.
Perfect. Very good definition.
22 million one.
22 million one, exactly. Okay. Any more? Any other offers? No? Yeah? Perfect. Yeah, the ability to look at things from different perspectives. Excellent. I'm going to share with you 5 that I quite liked. I want you to read them. They should be big enough for the people at the back, I hope. And just read them through and then decide which one you like the most, or which one you think is the best definition. Have a quick read. Which ones do you like the most? Okay, what do you reckon? Have a quick discussion with the person next to you. Which one do you think is maybe most attuned to your views? That's probably. Okay, that's long enough. Has everyone read them? Okay, hands up if you like the white one the most. Okay, a few of you, interesting. Hands up if you like the green one the most.
Too long.
Too long, okay, no, fair enough. The critical thinking organisation is too long. Orange one. Okay, a lot of you, good. Red one. Good, and finally the yellow one. It's just there for fun, right? But it is a nice fun definition. And you could choose any definition because it depends on the context in which you're teaching, which you're getting your students to think critically. There are so many different definitions. You just have to think critically about which one is going to work best in our context of teaching English. But, there's a but here. We need to stop and think for a second and answer this question. Because I think it's pertinent. Should we be teaching critical thinking in our English language classes? If we should be, why should we? Because surely we've got better things to do in our English classes. Teach grammar, teach vocabulary, reading skills, writing skills, speaking. Is there time for critical thinking? Where does that fit into our English language teaching curriculum, syllabuses? So very quickly again, turn to the person next to you. What is your answer to this question? Is it a yes or a no? And if it's a yes, why? If it's a no, why not? Again, 2 minutes. Go. If you agree with the statement, if your answer is yes to this question, please stand up. You'll do some exercise. Okay, good. That's pretty much everyone. Well done, sit down. Thankfully, I agree with you. Yes, of course we should be. But that's my opinion. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to agree with me if you don't want to. It's all about opinions. Why should we be doing this in our English language classrooms? A number of reasons. First of all, I think it coincides with good language learning in terms of how we can get our students to acquire the language. So maybe less teaching from us, making it more student-centered. Taking an inductive, guided discovery approach to grammar, to vocabulary. Getting them to discover rules, meanings of words for themselves. So just how our overall approach to teaching and how we teach automatically involves getting the students to think critically. It's language, it's language and communication rich. Because if you're thinking critically and you're talking to each other in pairs and groups about a subject, automatically it is creating a context for discussion, for sharing opinions, sharing ideas. It's student focused. It's not about me, it's about you. And it offers divergent possibilities and development. So you can start here and you can go around the houses. You can have all kinds of discussions. Just from starting one point, and you can take you on a journey. So there's many reasons why we should be using critical thinking in the classroom. But there's one more reason why, and it's this. It comes from a guy called Ed Newbon. And he tells us that learners are already being exposed to different cultures and therefore different ways of thinking, which makes the language classroom the perfect place for exploring critical thinking skills. Because just because your students believe something is the way how it is in Russia does not mean it's different or done differently elsewhere. And just because it's different doesn't mean it's better or worse, but it's exploring how those differences are both okay. We don't have to follow one thought or one line of thought. Okay, so I'm going to show you some different critical thinking skills that we could teach in the English language classroom. Have a look at the list. Which one do you think does not include or does not necessitate critical thinking? Okay, so you're thinking critically for me. Again, here we go. Have a look. Which one does not, or which ones do not include critical thinking? When you think you've got an answer, tell the person next to you, see if they agree with you. Are you sure? I wouldn't do that, would I? Okay, there's lots of discussion here, which means we're not quite sure. We have to think critically, right? So, is there any ones that stand out that you think that definitely does not involve critical thinking? The third one, understanding connotation. The first, identifying key information. Yes. I think it involves critical thinking. You have to read a passage and find out, okay, I think this is the most important part. This is key. So I think actually it does involve a certain level of critical thinking. Okay. Any other suggestions? They all are. Would I do that to you? Would I ask you a trick question? Of course I would. They all involve critical thinking. And these are all the kind of things we can do with reading text in our classes specifically. And I'm going to share a reading article with you actually to show how we can use text in our classroom to get them thinking critically. And it's this. It's all about the Pacific Northwest tree octopus. We've all heard of this, right? You've heard of this animal? Seriously, it's a critically endangered animal in America.
No, it's a fake.
What do you mean it's a fake?
I don't know about this fake.
No, it's written here, it's in print, it's real. Come on.
We know about this.
Will I put this article, will we put this in a course book and get students to read it and say it's true? Of course we will. Okay, we're not going to have time to read it because not enough time. But basically it tells us all about the tree octopus, it tells us why it's endangered, it tells us how we can help it. How we can help save it, right? I mean, look at it. It looks so cute, right? Okay, it might not be a cuddly panda or anything, but you know, it needs our support. It needs our help. But you'd be surprised. Okay, it is fake. You're absolutely right. But you'd be amazed how many people believe this story. I've done this with students. They read it and they take it all and they believe it. But actually, it was a project done by some school children in North America, and they created this website for the very purpose of critical thinking skills. But it's a questions that we ask that can help them guide on the route of developing those skills. So, for example, you know, did you know about it before? If not, what surprised you most? Which of the threats to the tree octopus do you think are the most serious? So it talks about pollution, cats, deforestation and things. So just these kind of questions, they think, well, I think this is more dangerous or more whatever to the fictional tree octopus. Which kinds of different activism do you think are the most effective? Why? It's getting them to make a decision and justify that decision. And in doing so, they have to use those higher order thinking skills. Should we care about the tree octopus? Why not? Again, should we believe it, should we not? But the kind of key thing here is that you can't quite see it at the bottom, but it's the source. Look at the source of the article. Do you think it's reliable? Now here's a quick question for you. Where do most students get information from? Can we trust the internet? No. And if they want specific information, where might they go on the internet to find that? Wikipedia, exactly. Who uses Wikipedia?
Everyone.
Who trusts Wikipedia? Is that interesting, huh? I'll tell you a little story. I recently read an article by a guy in the States who did an experiment using Wikipedia. And he went onto certain pages connected to American history and changed names, changed dates. Because he wanted to see how long it would take somebody to change it back. So of course some things would change faster than others, of course. But on average, how long do you think it took somebody to recognize the error and to correct it?
A month.
A month, weeks, years? Oh my word, that would be terrible, right?
2 hours.
2 or 3 hours? More than that. 8 days. On average, 8 days for information to be changed back to the original, truthful information. Which is quite worrying, because in that time, how many school children have gone to that website for their school projects about whatever it was, seen it, taken it, believed it. So this idea of getting students to understand their sources is really important. And things like this in English language course books is a very easy way of doing that. Again, you know, more very specific critical thinking here. Why do you think so many people believe the story? Looking back, is there anything that made you so suspicious about it? Can you think of other examples of fake internet stories like this? What are the consequences? So it's very, very easy, and this creates discussion. It gets students thinking very much in detail about it all. And it reminds me of a really famous quote by the first American president, Abraham Lincoln. And he had this to say. Okay. Another example here is a tutorial about Back to the Future. This is a real story, but we can ask certain questions. Yes, they can do normal comprehension questions. That's fine, but we want them to read it on a deeper level, read between the lines. Well, in this case, it's all about asking critical questions. Because we want to encourage our students to, as they're reading, to question what they're reading. Do I believe this? Where's he got this information from? Is it his opinion or is it fact? There's lots of different areas that we can explore. But I want to move on to another sort of definition or reason why critical thinking is important. And it's from a lady called Linda Elder. And she tells us that people who think critically consistently attempt to live rationally, reasonably, and empathetically. They strive to improve the world in whatever ways they can and contribute to a more rational, civilized society. Do you want your students to live rationally? Do you want them to live reasonably? Do you want them to live empathetically? Of course we do. The future of our planet is in their hands, and to do that, they have to be able to think critically. And I'm going to share with you an example of two young girls who've done exactly this. And they are two sisters from Bali, called Melati and Isabel Winston. And they had their own TED Talk, all about how they were going to ban plastic bags in Bali. Do you think it's possible for two teenage girls to stop plastic bags on an island? Is that possible? Would that be possible here? It's difficult, right? But two young girls, come on. They're not politicians or anything, are they? Well, let's watch the video, okay? And as you're watching it, I want you to answer a couple of questions for me. First of all, what things do they do in their campaign against plastic bags? But also, what is their big idea? What are they telling us? What is their message? Okay, you ready? Sit back and enjoy.
Bali, island of gods, a green paradise, or a paradise lost. Bali, island of garbage. In Bali, we generate 680 cubic meters of plastic garbage a day. That's about a 14-story building. And when it comes to plastic bags, less than 5% gets recycled. We know that changes the image you may have of our island. It changed ours too when we learned about it. When we learned that almost all plastic bags in Bali ends up in our drains, and then in our rivers, and then in our ocean. And those that don't even make it to the ocean, they're either burned or littered. So we decided to do something about it. And we've been working for almost 3 years now to try to say no to plastic bags on our home island. And we've had some significant successes. We started researching, and let's just say the more we learned, there was nothing good about plastic bags. And you know what? We don't even need them. We were really inspired by the efforts to say no to plastic bags in many other places. From Hawaii to Rwanda, and to several cities like Oakland and Dublin. And so the idea turned into the launch of Bye Bye Plastic Bags. The volunteer team includes children from all over the island, from both international and local schools. And together with them, we started a multi-layered approach based on an on- and offline signature petition, educational and inspirational presentations at schools. We raised general awareness at markets, festivals, beach cleanups. And last but not least, we distribute alternative bags. Bags like net bags, recycled newspaper bags, or 100% organic material bags, all made by local initiatives on the island. Sometimes it does get a little bit hard to walk your talk. But last year, we did exactly that. We went to India to give a talk, and our parents took us to visit the former private house of Mahatma Gandhi. We learned about the power of hunger strikes he did to reach his goals. Yes, by the end of the tour, when we met our parents again, we both made a decision and said, we're going on a hunger strike. And you can probably imagine their faces. It took a lot of convincing, not only to our parents, but to our friends and to our teachers as well. Isabel and I were serious about doing this. So we met with a nutritionist and we came up with a compromise of not eating from sunrise to sunset every day until the governor of Bali would agree to meet with us to talk about how to stop plastic bags on Bali. Our Moda Makan, as it is called in Bahasa Indonesia, started. We used social media to support our goal, and already on day 2, police started to come at our home and school. What were these two girls doing? We knew we weren't making the governor look his best by doing this food strike. We could have gone to jail. But hey, it worked. 24 hours later, we were picked up from school and escorted to the office of the governor. And there he was, waiting for us to meet and speak, being all supportive and thankful for our willingness to care for the beauty and the environment of Bali. He signed a promise to help the people of Bali say no to plastic bags. And we are now friends, and on a regular basis, we remind him and his team of the promises he has made. And indeed, Recently, he stated and committed that Bali will be plastic bag free by 2018. Also, at the International Airport of Bali, one of our supporters are planning to start a plastic bag free policy by 2016. Stop handing out free plastic bags and bring in your own reusable bag is our next message to change that mindset of the public. Our short-term campaign, One Island, One Voice, is all about this. We check and recognize the shops and restaurants that have declared themselves a plastic bag-free zone, and we put this sticker at their entrance and publish their names on social media and some important magazines on Bali, and conversely that highlights those who do not have the sticker. So, why are we actually telling you all of this? Well, partly it is because we are proud of the results that together with our team we have been able to reach, but also because along the way we have learned that kids can do things. We can make things happen. Isabel and I were only 10 and 12 years old when we started this. We never had a business plan, nor a fixed strategy, nor any hidden agendas. Just the idea in front of us and a group of friends working with us. All we wanted to do was stop those plastic bags from wrapping and suffocating our beautiful home. Kids have a boundless energy and a motivation to be the change the world needs. So to all the kids of this beautiful but challenging world, go for it. Make that difference. We're not telling you it's going to be easy. We're telling you it's going to be worth it. Us kids may only be 25% of the world's population, but we are 100% of the future. We still have a lot of work to do, but know that we will not stop until the first question asked when arriving at the Bali airports will be, "Welcome to Bali. Do you have any plastic bags to declare?"
Okay, how did you enjoy that?
Yeah.
How do you feel? Inspired? Absolutely, it's amazing, isn't it? So here are two young girls, they've seen a problem and they've addressed that problem by thinking, how can we make a difference? And they've done that by thinking critically. They've looked at the situation, seen what they can do. But how did they do it? So what things did they do in their campaign against plastic bags? Lots of things. So hunger strike, yeah? What else? They met the governor. Social media. Stop actually so the hunger strike. They did lots of things, right? They did all these things. They did petitions, the hunger strike, stickers, alternate plastic bags, alternate bags. They did a huge amount. And what was their overall message?
Let's save the planet.
Let's have the planet more specific though.
No plastic bags.
No plastic bags.
But everybody can do it.
Everybody can do it, but specifically who? Children. Kids can do things. Kids have the motivation to change the world. I think this is a really strong message that we should be sharing with our students. I think a lot of the time there's a lot of apathy, think, oh, I can't make a difference, I can't do this. But if two girls from Bali can make a difference, then so can they. They've got to have the right mindset, the right approach. I think within the English language class, we can help them do that by getting them to think critically, giving them kind of mini projects to do. So I'm going to share a quick example with you actually. I'm going to do that one. So here it's like, we're asking the students to think, okay, this is what Melati and Isabel have done. Why should we listen to them though? What's the purpose? Why should we believe them and not someone else? Do you think? Is it because of A, B or C? Do you think? A, B or C? C. Yeah, they've actually done what they're telling us to do. They've walked the walk, not just talk the talk. So again, it's trusting your sources from that point of view. But as a follow-up to that, get the students to think about it. It's some sort of challenge project work. So here, we're asking the students to work in groups. How can you make a change? How can you make the world a better place? So it's real-world content, real-world application from what they're learning, doing in the classroom. So you're putting them in groups. Of course they're working together. They've got different ideas. They're collaborating, they're communicating. they're thinking critically all the time. And then they're planning a campaign like the sisters. They're basically saying, okay, how can you make a difference? What can you do? Think outside the box. Think that you can make a difference. Okay, I just want to finish with a quote from a very famous man who had a lot to say about education, about life in general, Albert Einstein. And this is what he says about education. He says it's not about learning facts. It's about training the brain to think. And certainly that's what learning English is all about. Other subjects, they're learning facts. In English, they're not learning facts, they're learning a skill. And they're learning how to apply that skill with appropriate discussion activities, project work. And through that, with the right kind of questions, the right kind of activities, we can encourage them to think critically. And what I would certainly say as well, when we write our lesson plans, when we write our aims for our lessons, it shouldn't just be to develop reading skills, to practice speaking. We should also include critical thinking in there. It shouldn't just be implicit, we need to make it explicit to our learners. Because when they go to job interviews in the future, the questions they're going to be asked are more about their skills. Show me an example of when you've thought critically. And a lot of the time the students are like, well, I can't think of a time I thought critically, because they're not told when they're doing it. So if we can make it more explicit in the classroom, they're going to have that to fall back on. Okay, that is the end of the session. But throughout the day, over the weekend, think about how you are going to help your students to think more critically in your classes. So thank you very much for your time.